Center for Sports Law here. In addition to some media gigs that I'm sure you know, the great thing about having the opportunity to run this center and having some recognition is that we're able to sort of call in people that really are making a difference, not only in the world of sports, but in the world of social activism and leadership and mentoring. I saw an article actually in the BBC, so this is international, about the man sitting to my left, and I said, I got to get to that guy. And sure enough, an email went out, and within 10 minutes, he's like, sure, I'll come. And here he is. Before a formal introduction, I'm going to do a little video introduction, and this was part of the BBC piece. So just to set up for Preston, I'll play this right now.
There were a couple of students who have been killed over the last couple of years. Gang-related, selling drugs. There was a 13-year-old murdered. 3 of his cousins play here on this team. Shot in the head 3 times. That's what these kids go through. There's someone trying to hold us back, but it ain't gonna be no stuff like that. My name is Preston Brown, senior. 31 years old, born and raised here in Camden, New Jersey. I'm the head football coach here at Woodrow Wilson High School. When we get down on our knees to ask someone for their hand in marriage, like, we kneel. When someone is injured in sports, we kneel as a sign of respect. So we knelt because we were hurt.
He came to us at the end of practice and told us, he said, tomorrow I'm going to take a knee during the national anthem. It's totally your choice to do it. So I'm thinking about it this is really true. Like, African Americans do, we get treated different, and it's a way to peacefully get our point across. People's true colors, it really showed,
their hate towards it. I didn't see too many negative comments when the Dolphins owner said that he supported it. I didn't see too many negative comments when the women's soccer player took a knee. But however, a bunch of minority people from the city of Camden kneeled on the national anthem, and people calling in saying that we're animals.
We wasn't disrespecting people that fought for our freedom, but at the same time, the way we live is like we're not free all the way. Like, we feel like we get treated wrong.
And there's no disrespect to America. There's no disrespect to the government, to the U.S. military. It's saying that Camden, New Jersey, and places like it, and people who look like us, we are hurt, and we've been hurt for a very long time. In sports, we say, you have to do the little things right first. And collectively, we'll turn that into wins on the football field. So in order for this to be a win, there's probably going to have to be more protests, more people who are feeling the oppression and the injustices around this country to say enough is enough. Feels good to win, doesn't it? How you feel?
Y'all look excited at the end there, didn't you?
Yeah, that's my outlet there.
Tell us about Preston Brown. How did you come to be Dean of Climate and Culture at Woodrow Wilson? Is that your school when you grew up going?
That is the school that I grew up, the same neighborhood where those kids attend. Well, actually, the school district created the position for me. Last year, I volunteered the whole year doing the same type of work, just assisting with the school and a lot of things. The year before, they had over 5,000 out-of-school days for suspension. And, just me being active and knowing and going to school board meetings and stuff, I felt like for my old high school, that was way too many days. Either somebody was not doing enough to keep students in school. I personally know the superintendent of schools. He used to work with 2 guys I played college football with. And the first thing they told him when he got the job, in Camden was that he needed to meet me and my older brother. My older brother went to UNC with him. So, you know, we had been talking. He told me, hey, it's like, hey, we're going to work to create this position to get you in the building. So, you know, you can work with your football team and those things. So, yeah, I volunteered the whole year last year doing the same work. I didn't have to show up to the school until football time, but, you know, I did it every day so that, you know, I could be a presence, so I could identify what kids were who inside the school, so that we can make some changes to the actual coaches. So they actually created a position like for me, which was like a blessing. So, you know, there's no work at all for me. Every day I wake up with the same level of energy and excitement to do the things that were done for me. You know, I know a lot of those kids' parents. I walk the same streets that you know, just seeing it and seeing how things haven't really changed much since when I graduated high school and since before I was even in high school. And that's a problem. That's a problem.
How are you affecting that change? I mean, when you watch these kids, I can just tell in that little clip, you're having an impact on their lives. How are you doing that?
Well, the first thing, most of these kids have so many inconsistencies in their life, especially from a positive male standpoint. So that's the first piece right there. Everything, what we try to do is just take advantage of giving them positive time. So, I mean, we've been to at least like 20 colleges in 1 year, just travel. Most of it on my own dime, because
You're paying for it.
Yeah, most of it, probably 90% of it.
Why?
Me and some of the other. Why? Because I don't want to create an excuse on why the kids can't be a part of it, or why they can't be exposed to it. See, I was exposed to it late in high school, and you know, I went from Camden, New Jersey to Tulane, which was a totally culture shock for me as a freshman. And I struggled, not academically, but from a social standpoint, because I had only went to school or interacted with people who looked just like me. So it was a culture shock. I was 17, I was 2,000 miles away from home, and you know, only thing I knew was football. And it was like, hey, go live with this new, you know, idea of people and culture and style. I had never seen it before. I mean, I grew up in a housing projects. My mom had 6 kids, 5 boys and 1 girl. We lived with my grandmother, my aunts. So it was 12 of us in a 2-bedroom most of the time I grew up. So the idea that I had my own bed for the very first time when I went to college was different.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard for some people to understand, like, oh, you got your own bed, your own space, but I remember I used to be in the locker room. I used to lay on the floor all the time because that's what I was used to.
Right.
So, you know, we try to.
So you're giving these kids what you didn't have.
Absolutely.
And you're doing it out of just a sense that you want to make life better for these guys.
Well, that's just what's been indebted. Like, it's been ingrained in me my whole life. I mean, my grandmother was a Haitian immigrant. So she had a 3rd grade education. She was a crossing guard for 25 years. She came over on a boat in 1932. Her dad got kicked off the boat in Florida, and they sent the women and children up the Atlantic coast. They ended up in Philadelphia, Camden, New Jersey area. Never seen them again. So these are the stories that she told me when I was a kid coming up. And, you know, she was like, who are we to be selfish? You know, you give this world everything you have. And I've always done that. Now, because I grew up the way that we did, you know, housing projects, you know, moving from place to place, sharing electricity with our neighbors, I'm like, man, how is this, like, freedom and justice for all? Like, this can't be it. So I always was searching for the better life. Like, where is it? You know, how can I find it? And, you know, when I found it, you know, I was way into, you know, college. And I don't want these kids to have to wait that long. Because, again, even in my own family dynamic, I got a brother who was murdered at 20, another brother who was at 16 waved up as an adult for a crime he was just, you know, with 2 adults who committed. He did 10 years in prison for it. You know, I got a sister who, you know, like some of the other things, you know, had a baby before she graduated high school. And then my mom got 3 sons who all graduated from college and have advanced master's degrees. That's just one family from one city. There are tons of families just like that or worse. So again, I like to share my personal experience with the kids that I interact with every day so that they know they have a chance. The message that was taught to me growing up was, make it, go as far as you can, and don't ever come back. Because it ain't nothing here.
Back to Camden.
And then when Hurricane Katrina hit, I was a student athlete at Tulane. And I had nowhere else to go. So I had to go back and sleep on my mom's couch and on the floor. And I was like, excuse my friend, this is some bullshit. Straight up. And so I saw the same people doing the same things that they were doing like before I left. And I was like, if we leave and never come back, how are kids going to be able to know that they can make it out?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I had a chance. I played some football after college. I played in the UFL, United Football League. I went to a couple training camps with the Bills and the Jets. But I knew that, like, God was shaping me up to, like, do what I'm doing now. I mean, because it was the only thing that came to me effortlessly. Like, I never lose sleep over doing this kind of work. I never wake up tired. It's never too much on me. I mean, like just a couple months ago, we drove to South Carolina in the middle of the night, 15 kids and my 2 sons, who are 6 and 4, in a van, showed up early in the morning. I paid for all the kids to work out at the camp, and then we went to the beach. We got harassed by some police officers as we were walking to the beach because it was, 15 of us, African Americans, even though there were other groups of people walking to the same beach. And, my 4-year-old son's like, why the cops keep following us? And I'm like, I don't know, don't worry about it. And then after that, we drove through the middle of the night and ended up at a park bench at Townsend University where we all were asleep outside, my 2 sons included, and then we played a whole 7-on-7 football tournament, ate some Pizza Hut, and drove back home. Like, that's our reality. Like,
that's a bonding experience right there.
They'll never forget it. So that's my commitment.
You had a career before this. Didn't you work in insurance and you went to work in the corporate world before you came back?
Yeah, I had several different little careers. Again, it was, I go out, make some money, do this. So I did it. I mean, I was $1 million roundtable salesperson, selling life insurance.
What did you think of that?
I mean, when they taught it to me, they told me I was saving lives, and in one aspect I was, but it just wasn't what I really wanted to do. So, like, making a whole lot of money sounds good, but it just wasn't, it was something missing. But coaching and being around that element and really dealing with different personalities and challenges, like, that's what Preston Brown was made to do.
All right, let's spin it forward. You see what happens late August, the firestorm around Colin Kaepernick. Okay, he first did whatever he did, sat on the bench and no one noticed for 2 preseason games. I think he was hurt, he wasn't dressed in uniform. 3rd game, they noticed. Sitting, not kneeling, sitting. And of course, the firestorm and everyone wondering what was going on. And then he was very, very honest and open at his locker, talking about oppression, talking about things he sees in the country that he doesn't feel like he wants to stand for. What was your reaction then, and did you have a thought of galvanizing your group at that point?
Actually, my reaction really wasn't so, just to give you a little bit about who I am, like, I never really stood for myself. So when I was 11, when my grandmother explained to me about that 3rd stanza, how it never really applied to me.
You can tell people about that.
I tell them all the time. I mean, they used to send me to the principal's office. My 6th grade teacher told me I'd be dead or in jail because I didn't honor America, because I wouldn't say the Pledge of Allegiance, and I wouldn't stand for the national anthem. I felt like, as an athlete, we had, like, about to play the national anthem, everybody stand up. And I used to be like, I was always a challenger, like, why? Why do I have to? Why can't I sit if I feel like it? I mean, you go to plenty of games, people don't always stand up, they talk, they're on their phone. It's just, again, I felt like because he was black and he did it, people made a big deal about it. I mean, if you didn't notice it when he wasn't in uniform,
Right.
and it wasn't an issue then, nobody questioned him, nobody asked any questions, but because he's you know, obviously on the front lines in their uniforms, now it becomes a form of disrespect.
So were you getting some of that pushback that he is getting now when you were like young? The same kind of anti-patriotic, anti-American?
I mean, again, I didn't really. I had the one incident with my 6th grade teacher, like when she told me that. You know, it really pissed me off because I'm like, first of all, I'm the smartest kid in the whole middle school. Like, how you gonna say I'm gonna be dead or in jail?
Right.
Because of this? I'm like, is that what teachers really say to the students when they're 11 years old?
Right.
But you know, that happened. Like, that's a real life story. So every year on my birthday, I would always be like, oh yeah, thank you, Miss Marino, for telling me that I'll be dead or in jail.
Thank you, Miss Marino.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
And then how did it sift through your team to what you guys have done in the past month? In terms of, was it Colin Kaepernick related? Did it just hit a spark to create something in your vision?
I would say Colin Kaepernick was sort of like the Rosa Parks of this whole thing.
Okay.
So it wasn't. So usually what I would do when the national anthem played, like the year before, I literally would just close my eyes and just stand because like that's what, you know, we were told to do. But when he did it, and I started listening to more and more about what he was saying, I said, he's kneeling for the kids that I see every day, for the things that we experience on an everyday basis. Like, we have to do this, or at least I was going to do it. I told my team, I said, listen, people like Colin Kaepernick, he's kneeling. He's worth $60 million. He don't have to do anything. But if he's doing it for us and we're on the ground level, I say every one of us, or every one of our players here are living below the poverty level. Most of their parents have never went to college. Most of these kids in 2017 graduating class will be the first people in their whole life, their whole family to go to college. I'm like, listen, he's doing it for us, so I'm going to do it. And I explained to him what I just explained to you about my historical content. And I told him, listen, you're free to. We had 2 kids who didn't do it. They're well within their right. I respect them. I love them to death. I take the shirt off my back at any moment's time. No disrespect to them ever.
Did they tell you they weren't going to do it?
No. I didn't know that any of the kids were going to do it. See, I always lead from the front, so I don't look
Right.
behind me. I didn't know until the guy from the paper came up to me afterwards and said, hey, did you know the whole team was going to do it? I said, no. We even have a retired Air Force veteran on our coaching staff who was my first football coach I ever had. And now he coaches on my staff. He kneeled.
Pushback from your school, from the district, from other coaches?
No pushback from the school. I mean, they came out immediately within an hour and gave us full support, 100% support. The chief of police called me the very next day and said, you know, I'm a 40-some-year-old white man, but I believe in what you're doing. I know you personally, and I see, you know, how active you are in this community and other places. Like, you got my 100% support. You know, local people that I know through my fraternity, nationwide. I met with local members of the NAACP, churches. I'm not the kind of person, I don't really need accolades. I'm going to do this anyway.
Right.
You know, all day I've been doing it since, even when I was in college, as a freshman, I didn't even have a car. They had a volunteer program in New Orleans at Forshey High School, right down the street from Tulane. Kids were struggling in writing and math. I was the first one to sign up for the volunteer. I used to walk right down the street, 8 blocks. I used to go, do my 2 hours, and walk back. Why? I don't know. That's just what was in.
That's
it was in
you.
my heart to do it.
That's you. There's
what I
something
always
inside
did,
you.
so.
Yeah. There's something about you. Since then, you've had how many games where you've knelt?
3. So we played 3 games.
And what about the opposing team?
Well, last week we played Bishop Eustace, and as we were walking to the pregame, some of their coaches were screaming because like it was their home field, so they were behind us. And it was hilarious because the coach was screaming, "We're going to teach them to stand. you teach him to stand. And I was like, okay. Let's see what it says at the end of the game on the scoreboard. And then after we put the game away, I went to the 50-yard line, like, teach us what?
To their head coach?
Yeah, I stood right there in the middle of the 50-yard line and said, teach us.
What do you say?
Nothing.
Have the two that were standing at the beginning, are they now kneeling?
No, I believe they stood. They continue to stand. And, you know, they have since, like some people in the media try to paint this picture like, oh, they divide, they don't listen to the coach. Like, that's not what it is again. If kids who have been kneeling decide they want to stand now, that's their right. They don't have to kneel every time. But I think it's just a true testament of, like, literally after we know, honestly, I really didn't think it was a big deal.
Right.
We had like 150 fans at the game. You know, it was extremely hot. So after the game, when that's all the questions they were asking, I was like, well, y'all didn't even talk to me about the game. I thought you were here to report on the game. And then like a couple days later, it was like 70,000 views. I'm like,
right.
okay. I really didn't think people were paying attention. You know, so.
Well, as you know better than anyone, Kaepernick has tapped into something. There's something out there on both sides. So it's created this movement, if you will. Maybe that's too strong a word, but then there's this anti-movement. So have you seen some of the negativity where I hear people say, Kaepernick's made all this money, Kaepernick should live somewhere else if he doesn't like it. Kaepernick is a product of a free country and able to do what he wants. Why is he protesting? You probably heard some of the same things, right?
Yeah, you know, ignorant coach, you know, go back to Africa. I've never lived in Africa. One. Two, the folks that came from Africa, they didn't come here on their own free will.
Right.
To my knowledge. So, again, that's their ignorance to say that. But, you know, again, we heard many different things. People calling, leaving voicemails, calling us animals. You know, it's kind of hilarious, actually, you know. That if we're going to have an intellectual conversation, like, let's do that without the name calling.
Right.
You know, some of our student athletes, we had a girl who played on our team last year.
A girl?
A girl. So when she saw some of the negative comments, she was like commenting to people on Facebook, and they was bashing her. Oh, is this a he, she? Like, who are you? You're illiterate. You're from Camden. Like, what do you expect? We don't expect anything from you people. Like, she been crying for a long time, and you know, I got a lot of respect for her. Not only did she play on the team, I mean, she showed up every day on time, did everything the guys did, you know, played the entire season all the way through, because she promised the kid who got killed the year before that she wasn't going to quit. I remember when she got in the game last year, we were winning. The other teams, they didn't even snap the football. They snapped it, and they sent all the offensive linemen at her because they were upset that we put a girl on the field. It really pissed me off, honestly. And, you know, I had a couple of words with the opposing coach afterwards, because I mean, you just don't do that. You just don't do that kind of stuff.
They're mad she was a girl?
Yeah, like they were literally like saying like, they put a girl in the game. You see this? Like literally, they just snapped the ball, like basically run in a circle, and they would send like 3 linemen after her, like every play.
She come back this year?
She didn't come back to play. She's one of our team managers.
Mm-hmm.
She just said she wanted to prove a point last year. She did it.
Speaking of proving a point, and I know Kaepernick is getting this question a lot, is there an end game? Is there a point where he, and I suppose you, say enough is enough, we've either accomplished it or we've gotten the recognition for it, we've made our point, or does this continue?
Well, I think for me, and where we lie, there has to be like some intangible transformation happening, like on the ground level. like things you can use your senses for. Like we got to be able to touch and feel it and see that things within our communities and places like it is like I get sick and tired of, we're gonna meet with some politicians, we're gonna have some dialogue, and then it got tied up and this. That's not gonna be the end of it. Again, they didn't stop the bus boycotts until we can take a seat in the front. So, again, as I stated in the video, there's gonna be more protests.
Right.
Whether peaceful or not, I don't have any control over what other people do. But from where I sit and where I stand in my community, like that's what it's gonna have to be for us. Things that we can closely identify. Like, so when I was talking to one reporter, and he was trying to ask me about some of the economic injustices, when BBC, they was driving around my old neighborhood, right?
Right.
I was driving in my car, they was driving with me. I was like, look, same guy, 15 years, same corner. Same house been abandoned right across the street from where I used to live at. 30 years. Go to the end of the block, new neighborhood. The lowest house on that block is $200,000. The highest price house just across the street, $20,000. Just one town over. No trash on the ground over there, green grass in the yard with fences. All row homes over here, half of them abandoned. Nobody lives in them. $180,000 swing. You tell me what's going on. Nobody wants to have those kind of conversations, and too many people are afraid to say something. I'm not one of those people.
Mm-hmm. You ever thought about politics?
I ran for city council when I was 23 years old in Camden.
And?
I lost. And then I was still, I had this urge to play football, and I got, like in the middle of the election, I got signed to play football in the UFL. So it kind of, went in one of those directions.
What's your day like before you have practice? Before football?
All right, so I'm married. I got 3 kids, 10, 6, and 4. My wife's a 5th grade math teacher. So I wake up about 4:30. I do my little workout. I get my 2 sons ready.
I think it's more than a little workout, probably.
Yeah, I get my workout, and that gets me going. But I kind of got the same routine. That's what my grandmother did. She got up at 4:30 in the morning, got down on her knees, prayed for the whole family, made sure that everybody was protected, and the people that we encounter will have a better day after encountering with us. So I've been saying that same kind of prayer since I was like 12 years old. Like, that's my routine. And, I get the kids ready, get them in the car, drop my 2 off at the early morning program, and then I shoot to the school. I get there about 7:15. We got an administrators meeting. We meet, then we have intake with the kids from about 7:50 to 8:30, and then I'm on my feet for the rest of the day. Sometimes I have to, shoot out at 3:30, go get my kids, bring them to practice with me. So we start at 4:30. Start practice at 4:30, and then sometimes I got to take kids home by the time we get done. So I usually get home about 8:30 on average. So 4:30 to 8:30.
But it sounds like, this has been a theme with you. It sounds like it's much more than coaching these kids. You're taking them home, you're taking them on trips, you're buying things they can't afford. How do you deal with their parents, if they even have 1 or 2 parents? And how is that relationship when?
Well, when I first got the job, at Wilson, my alma mater, the first thing I said was, so we had called a parents meeting, and like 5 parents showed up to the first one. So I was like, look, we won't have a season. I said, don't show up here, no workouts, no practice, nothing, until I get a parent from every one of you to show up, hear what the plan is. Got them to sign off on our accountability form. So the first thing I asked them, if you trust me, then you can't question me. Because when you trust somebody, you trust them.
The parents.
The parents. I said, so get all your questions out now. Lay them out. Go ahead, lay them all out. I said, because the plan is, like with one kid, he went from his freshman year, he was like an average student. Last year, he got a 4.0. So we had 5 kids who got 4.0s last year that never got it before in their whole life. we accounted for 50% of all students in the high school on honor roll.
Mean on the team?
Our team accounted for 50% of all the students in the whole school on honor roll. So out of all the kids who made honor roll at the school, 50% of them played football. And parent was like, yo, what kind of scheme you running? I said, there's no scheme. I said, if we could trick the kids in believing that they could be successful on and off the field. See, the kids have to know that the student part comes first.
Right.
And I will strip everything athletic away from them if they don't handle that part first. Because at the end of the day, I don't care if they don't think their mom love them, the dad love them. You have to be the one to walk in your own 2 shoes. So we're not going to create any type of excuse on why we can't be successful. And that's kind of what we do every single day. You know, we just figure out a way to be successful one day at a time. Everything I know is through sports. You know, you got to try to be 1-0 every game.
Right.
So each day we try to go 1-0 in the classroom. You know, try to be 1-0 in leadership, whatever that takes. So if we take that model right there and apply it to every aspect of our lives, it ain't gonna be perfect, but we'll be much better off.
You look at kids on their team and you say you look at a few of them, you say, that's a project for me.
I embrace it. I mean, sometimes, you know, like people will say, oh yeah, you got this one. Oh man, good luck with that one.
Yeah.
You know, but again, I just feel like that's probably what people used to say about me too, or you know, say about some of the teammates I had.
Now they're getting attention as you are with all this going on. How are they handling it?
I think they handle it fairly well. See, some people think that, you know, this is one of those things that just came up. I mean, we have been prepping for these type of moments. Like, we meet on Sundays at 3 o'clock. Like, me and the other coaches, we provide food for them. They lift weights, we watch film. But we have, like, our culture talk. You know, like, hey, like, what's going on? Like, let's talk about life. Like, we remove everything sports, and we just kind of hang out and talk. And, you know, kids will let you know what's going on. And, like, one kid, Daniel Medina.
Yeah, who's in?
So Daniel was a kid who never played high school football before. He was friends with a kid that we had on our team last year who was a gang-affiliated kid. And I was really trying to save this kid's life. This kid, on a first-time offense, got 7 years.
Juvenile?
Juvenile, 7 years. So we won't see him again until he's 23. 16 years old, first-time offense, 7 years. Daniel used to hang with this kid every single day. You know, Daniel would come out of uniform. You know, he would be doing it. So when the kid wasn't around anymore, I saw him coming in uniform. Like, he just was sitting by himself. And, you know, he's like a bigger kid. We needed some linemen. So I said, I'm going to just go talk to the kid, you know, just to see what's going on. You know, we started talking slowly. Then I called him in gym class, moving around. I said, oh, this kid's kind of athletic. And it burned me inside that I couldn't save the other kid. But I'm like, I'm going to get this one for sure. I'm going to get him. So I just took him by the wing. We got a corner store, bodega, right there by it. So we took a walk, got the water ice. $1 water ice, about this big, go a long way, and I promise you.
$1.
$1.
Wow.
So, you know, we walk and we talk, and I'm saying, look, man, just give it a shot. He's like, listen, I got to be honest. I ain't been in 9th period class all year. That's English. I'm not going to pass. I said, all right, cool. So I said, look, go for this last month. Do the best that you can do, and then we'll work it out. You had to go to summer school. But I said, I know if you're serious, if you show up tomorrow, 4:30, ready to go. He was there, and he's been there every day since.
Practice
every single day. He is starting. He's starting. Never played high school football before again.
He can play.
He can play. He can play.
Is he going English?
He actually, yeah, he's doing well. He actually believes he can have a shot to go to college now. He didn't have that same mindset a year ago. He was like, Coach, why didn't you come get me like 2 years ago? I was like, well, you know, timing is everything. I don't know.
You going to continue kneeling all year?
Yes. Yes.
Are you looking for any specific change? I know it's hard to put a tangible thing, but more than conversation.
Man, I don't think we can ever stop the name calling or the. But you know, I think we are looking for. There are people saying like, you know, this coach think it's just another one of those, you know, things, and that's not what it is. Like people who don't know me, like they think like, oh, we just following suit with, you know, what Colin Kaepernick is doing. I mean, again, he's like the Rosa Parks of it, but we've been had this thing boiling up, like trying to present change in another way. Like people say, yeah, I think it's okay. Like today, I got like a 4-page letter that came into the school today. I didn't even read it yet.
Negative?
I don't know. I have no idea. But like this is what people send in. Somebody from Maryland. The only thing I got out of it that the guy was a 25-year Air Force veteran. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna wait to read this one. I'm not sure what it's gonna say.
Well, how has it been? More positive, more negative?
I would say right now it's probably like 50-50. Like after the op-ed that I put out and the BBC article and everything, I've received so many calls from people from like London and India. Some of the messages I couldn't even understand like what they were saying. But the emails, I mean, last week I had 497 requests on Facebook.
Requests to?
Friend requests.
Friend?
Yeah. 497 in like 3 days. And I was like,
What do you do with them?
I don't know. I'll just be looking. I don't know these people. If you're not friends, like people will send you a message, but you have to accept the message. Like it's really weird. I'm like, how do I get 150 messages and then they're all like this long? So most of the emails that people send me, whether they're positive or negative, like I responded to mostly all of them. Because I want people to understand that I'm a real person. It's not just something that's just going on. So even if it's negative, you know, again, like all the people who call me an asshole, you know, and all this other nonsense, again, if you want to have an intellectual conversation, you found a way to contact me, you can keep it going. Like, you know, but I'm not engaging in all this negative dialogue. I don't talk bad about people. Again, I'm not in a position to talk bad about folks. I don't have any reason to.
When I saw that after your commentary in the Sunday Inquirer, you had your personal email, I'm like, oh man, why is he doing that? You know? Because then you're getting these hundreds and hundreds of messages.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it. Again, I feel like I've been preparing my whole life for like this moment. I didn't know it was gonna come in this fashion. Like I talked to my high school head coach, and he told me when I was like 16, he was like, "Man, you're gonna do something great to like, you know, affect like, you know, people." And I'm thinking like, man, you full of shit. Like this is something you must tell. This is something you must tell kids, you know, who's doing pretty good and all that. So I just accepted it because I respected him for who he was. And I tell people all the time, like I'm forever indebted to my school, my community. For how I had a horrible attitude growing up because, again, we was poor, we barely ate. I had to share clothes with my brothers. Like, my mom was locked up like half of my senior year. I was only 17. We almost lost everybody to typhus. My older brother was away at school. My other brother got shot during that time, and we lived in the projects. So I'm like, well, hopefully the sun will shine, you know, at the end of this storm because you know, I had to work at ShopRite. I played all 3 sports. I was still number 2 in the class, and I had 40 scholarship offers. You know, I don't say that to brag, but when I tell the kids that, I say, now you have no reason to ever not like work hard. And I say, look, if you don't have a 4.0, you don't have straight A's, that means you got more work to do in the classroom. If you're not perfect on the field, which would never be, you know, you miss tackles, you know, we still have to stay in shape. We still have to do those little things, right, collectively, so that we can get wins.
Do you worry when the season's over?
No.
You'll lose them?
No, not at all. People ask me that all the time. There's no way the gangs or the drug dealers can ever have more energy and outwork me in taking kids than I can save them. It won't happen. I won't let it happen. And the kids know that. I won't let it happen.
Does your reach go beyond the football team?
Yes. I mean, I'm in the school. This time last year at the school, there were over 200 suspension days. We've got 0 so far.
That is impressive. I'm going to open it up a little bit, because I know people are just fascinated, as I am, maybe want to ask some questions. A couple questions, yeah. Say your name, please.
Hi, Coach Brown. My name is Samantha Fitzpatrick. My question for you is, when you're reaching out and you're trying to essentially capture families, when you're trying to really essentially get your hooks into them, how do you know if they're going to be receptive, or do you concern yourself with that? Do you just kind of jump in and say, I'm going to love you till it hurts?
Well, sometimes you don't know. Usually, you know, I'm like very methodical. So I would usually like watch kids' behaviors like over a course of like a couple of days and see like, okay, up and down, kind of, you know, during this time, you know, mostly in our world, like at where I'm at, most kids are excited during lunchtime. And it's easy for guys because you can always come in from a sports angle, just talk about sports. Like, you know, nobody calls me Mr. Brown, everybody just calls me Coach. Like, oh, what's up, Coach? I left my whistle in the car, but usually I walk around the school and I keep the whistle on me. So I tell the kids, if you hear this whistle, you know I'm coming. Like, I'm in your area. But one of the things is I feel like if somebody would have ever took their claws off of me, then I could have gone totally like way left. So I don't care how hard it is when I first deal with them. I just try to be consistent. Pull your pants up. Okay, I'm gonna pull them up for you. I mean, because again, if you see wrong and you don't say anything, then I'm just as wrong as the wrong. So I walk up to kids, pull their pants up all the time. You know, kids, you know, sometimes they drop curse words here and there. I say, hey, you're not on the street corner. And, you know, Coach, here he goes, he's always somewhere. But I'd rather be that person than allow them to deal with those folks out there that want to pull them in the wrong way. So, you know, I keep my whistle as a reminder. When they hear it, they know. I mean, it's the whole nurturing aspect. Like, if our parents would have let go of us at some point in time, I mean, all of us wasn't perfect. You know, we wasn't saints. We done things that, you know, our parents, you know, we done some things that we would never tell our parents. However, there was always that somebody there to, like, grab your hand and say, listen, I got you. No matter what, I got you. We have to accept it, right, wrong, or indifferent. I let them know, I got you. I don't like what you did right now, but just know I got you, and this is how we're going to fix it. So if they believe that we can work through it together, then, you know, usually, I mean, some kids take longer than others, but again, I'm committed to taking as much time as possible. Thank you.
Terrence.
I'm originally from New York, so I've told stories like that before. The first time hearing it from somebody else had a different effect. I think my question to you is, if we want to see change on a local level, especially in Jersey, and it's being done in Newark, does it need to be done or at Don Bosco? Does it need to be done at Immaculate? Whether the archdiocese has control over whether, you know, kids can protest or not. Do you think we need to see it on the other side before we can see that tangible change?
I definitely think that there should be some kind of conversations happening between, you know, the members of the archdiocese and those people from, like, obviously, like some of the public schools, because this narrative is growing in many places around the country, and you just don't, I just don't want my kids to be confused. I think there's definitely going to need to be, we're definitely going to need to see some of that, you know, positive energy. I mean, my take on it is, even with the Camden Archdiocese, like they basically told kids that, yo, you're gonna get 2 games suspension, like if you do it. But in the same article, there are 2 girls kneeling, holding the flag while the national anthem's playing. You know, so I'm like, well, what's going on with this? You know, I don't really know like a whole lot of what's going on internally with the Archdiocese. I feel like they have like a number of other different issues with that whole Catholic Church thing that I won't talk about right here. But to go and say that kids can't, you know, have exercise their First Amendment right, you know, that's, I don't know, it's absurd to me, but, you know, they've done it. And I think that, you know, more higher ups in terms of, like, you know, policy folks should be having those kind of conversations with them if they care. So I feel like we, on our side, have to make sure that they care to bridge that gap.
Yes, sir.
One of the things that shocked me, you said 50% of the students at the high school that were on the honor roll come from your football team. And so I just kind of wonder how long, as that result, that outcome, semester after semester, year after year, and even once, I just wondered if anybody had looked at what you were doing in the program and tried to emulate it with maybe the similar outcome.
So this is going on my 2nd year as the head coach at the school. Like my goal is to have a team full of straight A students. Like that's my ultimate goal. I don't know if it'll be this year, next year, but that's my ultimate goal. Like, because all the people that I know who were great athletes and didn't take care of their business in the classroom, they're either bagging groceries, dead, in jail. The folks that I grew up with. All the folks that took care of their business in the classroom, they doing whatever they want in life, because sports is only going to take us but so far. So I want to really teach these guys, you know, the academic piece. And, you know, kind of where we come from, you know, I don't know if there are people who are trying to emulate. Nobody's personally come to me and say, hey, you know, you did this, you did that, because I haven't really told anybody. You know, I'm not that kind of dude where I really want to, like, boast or brag or put it out there like that. I just want our guys to be successful. Like, I just want to push them as hard as we possibly can so that they can be successful. You know, let the statistics fall where they may, but I promise you, we're going to save more than that fall off. I mean, if anybody ever came to me and asked me and wanted to know, like, I'll be more than happy to, you know, share with them, talk to them. I mean, honestly, it's really no special secret. It's just being consistent and not letting them do the opposite.
So, I'm Alex. Whether it's your team or Colin Kaepernick, how much do you think performance on the field, particularly winning, affects the change you're trying to impact off it?
Well, I think we absolutely have to win because, again, like the first game when we did it, like we lost the game, the first game, and so, you know, people were like, you're like wasting your own time, you know, doing this, and so they try to change the narrative and make it about everything else besides the why. You know, I watched this thing on YouTube like a few years ago, you know, by Simon Sinek, where it's like people don't care what you do, they care why you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I just told people, like, oh yeah, I coach football. Oh yeah, good for you, man. You know, keep it going. But if they understood why I coach and where I coach, that reason behind it, like I think that changes the perspective. I mean, you know, winning on a football field, that's why we coach. We coach to win. You know, this adds a different dimension. So you know, we have to make sure our guys are mentally prepared to handle that part of it too. So I mean, we've won 2 in a row since. We have a pretty good football team. You know, we just pray that we stay healthy. And, you know, guys just try to, you know, football is our outlet. As you guys saw, you know, I get really excited on the football field. That's who I am. That's like my alter ego almost. So, yeah, but winning definitely, I guess, matters a great deal.
I kind of have a final question, which is way bigger than this, which is, we're in some tough times. I mean, we're in some polarizing times. We have a polarizing presidential election. We have stories coming out of different police issues all over the country now. I guess the question is sort of, how do we scale your positivity? Do you have bigger visions for how this works on a much bigger level than your team?
I've been thinking about that for probably, a couple weeks now. And just with all the people from around the country and around the world, like reaching out to me, like the friends that I had at Tulane,
Right.
Send me text messages and stuff. Like, I'll be willing to take it to any length. I honestly, after the season, see myself, possibly going to places like Chicago, Philadelphia. I go to Newark quite frequently for a number of different reasons, but just trying to, work with small organizing. That once there's protests, there has to be organization, organizing on many different fronts to bring together like a collective change. And so I see myself getting involved in that kind of stuff. I'm more than happy to do it. I'm not afraid to do it. I'm not afraid to go anywhere. Again, I've been, just about everywhere. And usually my thing is whenever I travel to another city, like I always want to go like see like what they say the hood is like. I don't know why, but I've always done that. So like my friends that I got from Detroit, like whenever I go to Detroit, I'm like, I want to see what it's like and kind of compare it to, where I'm, Birmingham, New Orleans, Chicago, Gary, Indiana, like all the different places I've been in. They all pretty much look the same. They pretty much all look the same. I mean, there's always a Martin Luther King drive in the hood. Always, for some reason.
It's interesting.
I don't know. I didn't do it, but everywhere I go, when they tell me like this is where it goes down, like the center of the hood. Go to Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King Drive. I'm like, why? How cliche is that? I don't know. That's like a mainstay. You can probably go to every inner city in America, and there's a Martin Luther King Drive. And there's probably usually a high level of crime that happens on that street.
I mean, there's so many powerful messages. I think the one thing that sticks with me that you said in this hour is one thing you said, which was the guys on the corner, the guys outside are no match.
Not at all.
For you.
And they know it.
And they know it.
And they know it.
So how do we clone that?
Well, so one of the things we try to do is, I teach the guys to lift as we climb. So these 68 kids that I have on my team, like they're going to be a part of the next wave when they go off to college. My first year, last year, we had 6 seniors. Every one of them went off to college on a full ride first year. Everywhere. Nobody's parent is paying for college. Nowhere. Whether they got academic money, football academic money combined. My goal is for every senior, by the time you come up and you're senior, you can experience what my mom experienced, not having to pay for college. So that's like my ultimate commitment, for you to get a free education.
How many seniors you got now?
17. And you can bet your bottom dollar every one of them's gonna go to college for free this year.
Really?
Yes.
We'll leave it at that. What a great speech, what a great interview, and let's give our appreciation to Preston Brown.